Shalom, family. On today's Sabbath, we're going to talk about the word grace from a Hebrew perspective. When we examine the word grace, typically we look to the New Testament or the Brit Hadashah to try to get an understanding of what the meaning of grace is. In general, if you typically walk up to a Christian or anybody who has an understanding of the Bible and you ask them the question, what does the word grace mean? Typically you're going to get an answer, oh well, grace means unmerited favor or just favor. However, what we're going to do, we're going to look at a deeper concrete understanding what the word grace means from a Hebrew perspective. Let us begin. The word grace is the Hebrew word fin that actually comes from the root word hanan. Now, some of you may not have an understanding of the alphabet or the Hebrew alphabet. So before we get started to get an understanding of the word grace, I just want to give you this disclaimer so you can probably have a better understanding as I walk you through the understanding of grace from a Hebrew perspective. Each letter in the actual Hebrew alphabet has a meaning, unlike the actual English alphabet that we have today. See, the English alphabet that we have today, in order to have understanding of it, we have to put together letters to form words to give you a meaning. It's not like that when you come to the Hebrew language, because each letter in the Hebrew language has a meaning, and each letter has a function. It tells you what it is. So when I walk you through the word grace, what I'm going to do, I'm going to explain to you the meaning of the letter and its actual function, just to give you a clear understanding. So here we have the first letter is het. Het. And the second letter we have is nun. Nun. Like I said before, each letter in the Hebrew alphabet has a function and a meaning. So let's first look at the word het. So the picture that you see for het is actually a wall. So it's actually a protected wall. And the meaning that you get from it is wall, outside, divide, and have. The next letter, nun.
Have mercy upon me, O Elohim.
And the symbol that you get, or the picture that you get from nun, is actually a seed that's revealing its roots or roots. And the meaning of it is seed, continue, heir, and son.
And done this evil in your sight, that you might be justified
with the word grace.
And be clear.
In order to do proper exegesis,
behold, I was shapen in iniquity.
The Bible tells us precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little and there a little. So in order to get a clear understanding of words, there's a term that we call first line of mention. And what that means is that the first time a word is ever mentioned in the Bible, it defines its meaning everywhere else. So when I began to study and examine the word grace, I first looked it up in Genesis to see how it was used. And we find it being used in Genesis chapter 6, verse 8. And it reads, "But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord." Well, what does that mean? Well, not getting into the story of Noah, I'm just going to give you a brief summary or synopsis of what actually happened in Noah's narrative. So we all know that the word came to Noah that the Most High Yah wanted Noah to build an ark. So as Noah built the ark, we know that throughout him building the ark, that Noah himself, his wife, and his 3 sons and the animals were the only ones who were on the ark. So, as we can see, we have this ark that is set up for Noah and his wife, his 3 sons, and their 3 wives. Now, going back to the letters in Hebrew of what the word fin means, as I mentioned before, the word het means a wall, a protected wall. And the next letter, nun, means a seed. So if we put those 2 functions together, we have a wall protecting a particular seed. You get it? You get it, Finn? A wall protecting a seed. The seed is enclosed inside a camp. Well, whose camp is it? It's the Most High Yah's camp. Yah's seed is in the camp. Who is his seed? His seed was Noah, Noah's wife, his 3 sons, and their wives, because they were the ones that found the protected place. Where? Inside of the ark. You get it? You have a protected wall, and within inside that protected wall, or enclosed in that camp, is the seed. So we can conclude that the function of the word fin or grace is that there is a protected place set up. That's the function.
Humility clothes me from the top of my head, soles of my feet, yeah. Teach me, show me the way. Hide my face.
As we continue with the word grace, in the Hebrew, the word fin, we have already established that the word grace means that there is a protected place set up for the Most High Yah's seed. So as we show another application on this function of grace, what we have here is the actual camp of the nation of Israel. And we all know the history of Israel, to where one of their main responsibility was to be a light or a beacon to the other surrounding nations. That was one of their primary functions, because their duty was to draw all the nations to the Most High Yah for them to worship. So we are given scriptures in how Yah's people supposed to have entreated the stranger or the refugee. So let's look at that application right quick.
White as snow, so
For the Lord your God is God of gods and Lords of lords, the great God, mighty and awesome, who shows no partiality nor takes a bribe. He administers justice for the fatherless and the widow, and loves the stranger, giving him food and clothing. Therefore love the stranger, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt. So even though the Most High Yah seed is protected inside his camp, the Most High Yah provides opportunity for the stranger or the refugee to get access inside of his protected camp. So when the stranger saw this beautiful picture or saw the relationship that the Most High Yah seed had with him, they saw the beauty or the function of the camp. That's what the stranger saw. They saw the beauty of the function of the camp. So once they saw that, they wanted to be a part of that. And so as being the light to the other nations, we had to allow them access into that protected place.
For I acknowledge my transgressions, and my sin is ever before me. Against you,
family, let's continue on with the second application of the word grace.
That you might be justified when you speak, and be
when you
clear
examine
when you judge.
the word gospel,
Behold, I was shapen in iniquity, and in
another
sin
word,
did my
the
mother
Basora.
conceive me. Behold,
If you in general
desire
ask
truth
somebody,
in the inward parts,
well, what is the
and in the
gospel
hidden
message?
part you shall make me
And they would immediately tell you, well, the gospel
Purge
message
me with
is the
hyssop,
death,
and I shall
burial,
be
or
clean.
resurrection
Wash me,
of
and I
Jesus
shall be
Christ,
whiter
or
than
Yahushua
snow.
HaMashiach.
Make me to hear joy and
Now,
gladness,
when
that
you
the
give
bones
that
which you have
response,
broken may
that
rejoice.
is more what you
Hide your
call
face
a
from my
Western,
sins,
a
and blot out
westernized
all my
thought.
iniquities.
It's abstract
Create in
because
me a clean heart,
you
O
say the
Elohim,
death, burial,
and
and
renew a
resurrection
right spirit within
of
me.
the Hamashiach.
Cast me not away from
Now,
your presence,
you need to ask
and
yourself,
take
well,
not your
what
Holy
does
Spirit
that
from me.
mean?
Restore unto me the
Or
joy of your salvation,
another way
and
to
uphold me
describe
with
it
your
is,
free spirit.
what is the function
Then
of the
will
death,
I
burial,
teach
and
the
resurrection
transgressors your
of the
ways, and
Hamashiach?
sinners
Now,
shall be converted unto you.
if
Deliver
somebody
me from
asked
blood
me now,
guiltiness, O
because
Elohim,
I used to think
the
that way from a
Elohim of my
westernized, if someone
salvation,
would have
and my
asked me in the
tongue
past,
shall
hey,
sing
what
aloud
is
of your
the Bisora
righteousness.
or the gospel? I
O
would have said the death,
Yahuwah,
burial, and
open
resurrection
up my
of the
lips,
Hamashiach,
and
or
my
Jesus
mouth
Christ.
shall show forth your praise.
But
For
now
you desire not
I have a clear
sacrifice,
understanding, or a
else I
more
would give you.
concrete
You delight not in
understanding
burnt
of
offering.
what the
The
gospel message
sacrifices
is.
of Elohim
And my
are a broken
response
spirit,
would be
a broken and a
that
contrite.
salvation has
O
come
Elohim, you will
to
not
the
despise.
house of
Do
Israel.
good in your good pleasure unto
That
Zion.
is the gospel
Build
message.
you the walls of Jerusalem.
That
Then shall
the Most High
you
Yah
be pleased with the
sent his
sacrifices of
son
righteousness, with
to
burnt offering and
gather
whole burnt
up
offering.
his
Then
people
shall they
that
offer
has
bullocks
strayed
upon
away.
mine altar.
So we all know in the gospel message that the Hamashiach said, for I have come only for the household of Israel. Now, this Hebrew word down here displayed is the word. Now, let me just back up just a little bit, just to give a little bit more clarity of where I'm driving to on this. Now, if you go back to Genesis 1:1, it says, in the beginning, God, or Elohim, created the heavens and the earth. Now, if I would say that in the Hebrew, it would sound like this. Bereshit bara Elohim et hashemayim et haaretz. Now, there is one word that is not translated in that verse. And that verse, it's the word et. And if you look at the word et, it has the two letters known as the Aleph Tav, which is the word. So before the Most High Yah caused anything to come in existence, he first created a word and spoke to the world to cause the world to come into an existence. So the word is a seed. You get it? The word is a seed that the Most High Yah spoke to cause everything to come into reality or existence. So if anybody would ask you what is the theme of the Bible, the theme of the Bible is that it talks about a seed. Who is that seed? The word of the Most High Yah. You get it? The word points to Yahushua HaMashiach. He is the seed, for he has come to or come for the lost sheep of Israel. He's coming for Yah's seed. Why? Because the Most High Yah's seed has strayed away. So now, as we know, the shepherd carries a staff. And and that staff has several functions. One of that function is to goad, to wreck. Is also used as a weapon. Is also used to discipline at the same time. So what the shepherd is doing, or what the Hamashiach is doing, he is guiding and he is directing the Most High Yah sheep back into the protected place, the place of grace that has been set up for them. That is the good news, or the Besorah, is that the Hamashiach becomes the door or access that the children of the Most High Yah, or his seed, now have access back into that protected place. So now, a lot of times people are asking, hey, well, is there a point in time where this grace is going to run out? You know, is the door going to be shut on this grace? Well, let's look to scriptures and see what the scripture says about that. And it reads, but of that day and hour, no one knows, not even the angels of heaven, but my Father only. But as the days of Noah were, so also will the coming of the Son of Man be. Wow. Wow. This scripture is pointing back to Noah. Now, well, what is the connection with Noah? Now, when Yahushua HaMashiach told us to go into all nations and preach the good news. So now he has given us the oracles to preach the good news, to be that doorway or that access door for people to be able to come in to get saved. We have. So, well, what does that all mean? Well, think about this for a minute. Yahushua HaMashiach comes from the tribe of Yahudim, or Judah. Now, Judah was the fourth son of Jacob. Now, the responsibility is for us today to be that doorway, to be that light. You see, it never changed. To be that light, to allow access for people to get into that protected place that is set up. So, again, grace, its main function is that there is a protected place set up. But in order to get to that protected place, you must go through that door. The Most High Yah has provided a door for us. Who is that door? Yahushua HaMashiach. Shalom, family.
Hide your face from my sins and blot out